The title of my project is Exploration of Leadership and Management, an interview with a nurse manager. The nurse manager I interviewed is a leader in a smaller, research-based hospital that was one of the first to achieve magnet status. A magnet hospital is one which is better able to retain nurses due to identified factors which contribute to a good work environment associated with increased patient safety and reduced adverse events, according to Needleman, 2015. I chose to interview this nurse as I admire her approachability and creativity and see her as someone who models leadership behaviors I seek to adopt within my own practice. The subject of my interview describes her leadership style as transformational and democratic. As we discussed this leadership style, the nurse shared with me that she believes her nurses, as the ones at the bedside, are aware of what they need to be doing. Her leadership style is one which seeks to empower nurses and encourage participation in many overlapping councils, such as the practice, nursing research, quality, and leadership councils within her organization, as all ultimately work together. She believes in helping nurses to realize their need to be involved and contribute their input on research and procedures. Incorporating the practice of self-assessment is one way in which nurses may work to develop transformational leadership behaviors, such as leading by example, inspiring others towards a shared goal or vision, challenging tradition to improve care, empowering others, and providing encouragement within a supportive environment. Some challenges faced by leadership, which were discussed during the interview, surrounded the issues of high census and high patient turnover on a busy surgical unit. The nurse manager I interviewed spoke of creative ways in which she worked to address problems, such as creating the new position of an admissions nurse, which allowed for increased supportive staff and served to promote continued safety as nurse-to-patient ratios were maintained. A supportive environment which would counteract burnout was promoted. Lateral violence was not tolerated and was actively addressed, with the subject of my interview stating this may have been her biggest challenge and frustration as she worked to empower staff, requested documentation of events, and worked with human resources to pursue action against bullying. The comparison has been made of a leader to an eagle, possessing vision and fearlessness while caring for its young, while a manager is compared to a hawk. The hawk looks like an eagle from a distance, but is smaller and less powerful. While not all managers are good leaders, a good leader must be able to be a good manager. Low nurse-to-patient ratios are not a standalone factor in promotion of patient safety. The work environment, shift length, and weekly schedules, which may or may not allow for nurses to recover between shifts, are all factors that may impact nurse health and patient safety. The nurse manager I interviewed stated she looked at patient safety and then worked to meet the needs of her staff. She felt there were 3 reasons an individual was not successful in their current position. The first reason was that they may not have the knowledge and skills they need. In this case, the nurse manager sees this need and works to help the staff nurse obtain necessary knowledge and skills. The second reason is that their current position is not a good fit. This could be an intelligent and capable nurse who is better suited to a different role and requires coaching to move towards what is right for them, into a role in which they may blossom. The third reason is that a nurse no longer cares. He or she is burnt out and may need to leave their current position in order to recover. The manager I interviewed created an assistant clinical manager role to help adequately address patient and staff needs. Work such as ongoing coaching and making rounds was delegated to allow more time for the nurse manager to handle administrative duties. When the nurse manager I interviewed first began working, there were no CNAs employed on her floor. Once CNAs began to be hired, nurses had to adjust to delegating and sharing the work. This nurse manager created a 1-day seminar using the 4 agreements text as a framework. The 4 agreements emphasizes the importance of not taking the actions or words of others personally, because what comes from people is about what is going on within themselves and not about who the words or actions are directed at. Emphasizing the importance of self-care and maintaining the ability to find the humor in a situation are also important ways in which we can continue to care for ourselves. To maintain connection with all staff, this nurse manager crafted a newsletter condensing all emails and important information in one place, and was sure to inject some humor into this project by including cartoons and jokes alongside important updates. Challenges this nurse brought up in our discussion had to do with managing 90 employees, development of the assistant clinical manager role, in addition to a clinical ladder, peer evaluations, and annual performance evaluations, contributed to better management of such a large number of staff. She also conducted bedside rounds as part of staff evaluation. With a waiting list for the nurse residency program that only allowed for 2 nurse residents per year, it was clear that this program needed to be expanded to combat the nursing shortage. The nurse manager worked to increase the budget for the nurse residency program. Another way in which she worked to combat the nursing shortage was to encourage current staff nurses to pursue further education and facilitating transfers of staff nurses to pursue their interests, thereby creating vacancies on her current floor. A mentor program was in place for residents during their first 6 months to help translate theory and what they learned in nursing school into practice. Maintaining exceptional staffing ratios helped to promote nurse job satisfaction. The nurse manager stated the importance of constant flexibility in meeting staff needs, again pointing to the creation of an admissions nurse to further support staff in the setting of high patient turnover. She stressed the importance of thinking outside of the box rather than maintaining the same responses, listening to staff ideas and recognizing their leadership potential, further stating they are leaders within their own right. Management involves those daily tasks that must be accomplished while leadership is spending time in relationship with staff. You don't have to have a management position in order to be a leader. Skills related to self-leadership are positively correlated with creativity in nursing and are demonstrated by a nurse's passion and commitment in meeting challenges constructively. Seeking to set self-determined goals and innovative approaches to improve upon provision of quality patient care are signs of self-leadership. The nurse manager I interviewed sought to provide the type of innovative culture conducive to self-leadership within her organization. When asked what her leadership advice for me would be, the nurse manager stated, "Find your own voice, your own vision." She stressed the importance of determining my passion while remaining focused on patient care. She encouraged me towards continued growth through constant learning and reading. Having worked in various environments, I agree that an important challenge for leadership is to support an environment that recognizes and draws upon the leadership abilities of each individual staff nurse to creatively meet the varying needs of the organization and the population it serves. I believe that a qualified leader will embrace this challenge.